Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're jumping straight into the letter to the Galatians, chapter 1 specifically.
Right, and you notice immediately the tone is, well, it's urgent.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Paul sounds genuinely alarmed writing to these churches because they seem to be drifting away fast.
Exactly. He's troubled. Our goal here is really to unpack this first chapter, see what Paul's laying down as his foundation, what problem he's tackling, and why he reacts so strongly.
Okay, so let's start where he starts, establishing his credentials, right? He says he's an apostle, not from men nor by man, but by Jesus Christ and God the Father. That's quite a statement to open with.
Oh, absolutely. It's critical. It's the bedrock. He's
Yeah.
basically saying, my authority, the reason I'm writing this, it doesn't come from any human committee or teacher.
It's direct.
From God.
Directly commissioned by Jesus Christ and God the Father. This underpins everything else because if his authority is divine, then the message he carries has that same weight. It's not just his opinion. And he pivots immediately to the crisis. He's astonished they're so quickly deserting the one who called them and turning to what he calls a different gospel.
But then he corrects himself, almost. He says it's really no gospel at all.
Why? What makes it no gospel?
Well, it seems the issue was that some people were adding conditions, saying faith in Christ is good, but you also need to follow parts of the Jewish law, like circumcision, to be truly saved.
Ah, so it wasn't just an alternative viewpoint.
No, for Paul, this messed with the core. It perverted the gospel of grace. If you start adding human works, like following the law, as requirements for salvation, well, then it's not truly by grace anymore, is it? It fundamentally changes the message, makes it void, essentially.
And this is where his language gets incredibly strong. I mean, really intense.
Right. He says, even if we or an angel from heaven should preach a gospel other than the one we preached, let him be eternally condemned.
And he repeats it just to
Yeah.
make sure they get the point.
Yeah.
That's serious condemnation.
It shows you the stakes. This isn't some minor disagreement over interpretation for Paul. He sees this distortion as having eternal consequences. It's a dangerous path.
So the purity of the message is paramount. Doesn't matter who delivers it, him, an angel, anyone. If it deviates, it's condemned.
Exactly. And that connects to his next point, where his gospel came from.
He insists it's not something that man made up. He says, I did not receive it from any man, nor was I taught it. Rather, I received it by revelation from Jesus Christ.
Yeah, again, hammering home that divine origin. It wasn't learned in a school or passed down through human teachers initially. It was a direct download, you could say,
A revelation.
which gives it that unshakable authority in his mind. It's not open to human modification.
And then he uses his own story as, well, Exhibit A.
Right. The contrast is stark. He talks about his former life in Judaism, how zealous he was, how he violently persecuted the church.
Compared to now, called by grace, God revealing his son in me, he says, specifically so he could preach to the Gentiles.
It's powerful evidence. I mean, think about it. The church's fiercest opponent becomes its leading missionary to the non-Jewish world. People were saying, the man who formerly persecuted us is now preaching the faith he once tried to destroy.
That's a radical shift.
Absolutely. And not just a change of mind, but a complete God-initiated redirection.
He even points out his actions right after his conversion. He didn't immediately run to Jerusalem to, check in with the leaders there.
No, he went off to Arabia, then back to Damascus. Only later did he visit Jerusalem, briefly saw Peter and James, but that was it for that trip.
Why emphasize that independence?
It reinforces his claim. His core understanding, his commission, didn't come from the Jerusalem apostles, even though he clearly respected them and connected later. It came directly from Christ.
And the result.
Oh.
He mentions the churches in Judea who only knew his terrible reputation before.
Yes, they heard about his transformation and the message he preached, and they praised God because of me. His changed life pointed them to God.
Okay, so pulling back from first century Galatia, what does this chapter offer us, today? This intense focus on the source, the purity of the message, the danger of distortion.
Well, it resonates quite a bit, doesn't it? We live in an age absolutely flooded with messages, claims, ideologies, all vying for attention.
True. Information overload is real.
And Paul's argument forces a question. How do we evaluate these messages if the source and the core content are as critical as he insists?
What criteria do we use? And his own story, the persecutor turned preacher, what does that say about transformation, about conviction?
It speaks volumes about the potential for radical change, driven by something profound. So the key takeaways maybe are Paul's authority rooted in divine revelation, the serious danger of twisting the core message, and his own life as powerful testimony.
Which leads to that final thought for you, the listener, to consider. If Paul is right that the source of a message is fundamentally important, what standards do we apply today to the voices and ideas demanding our belief?